All right, so like we're talking about the PTSD when it comes to the military, my servicemen earlier, but I kind of want to get into that with our brothers and sisters, in light of the modern day lynchings that continue to happen at the hands of law enforcement, even mass shootings. There's a growing sense of fear, helplessness, and anxiety. How do we cope with seeing these videos like the Tyre Nichols and the George Floyds, Rodney Kings, Philando Castillos?
That's a good question. Because when we think about trauma, all trauma isn't PTSD. All trauma isn't a disorder. But a lot of times when we, especially as underrepresented communities or communities that are often oppressed, we're often injured, emotionally injured in so many ways. And there is this concept now that we really look into called moral injury. And moral injury is very similar to PTSD. And in fact, a huge component of it, experiencing some type of huge betrayal or some type of oppression. So when we think about discrimination, for example, discrimination at its core, it can be very dehumanizing to think that, if I walk into a particular store and someone basically treats me like I don't belong there, then there's a huge factor of dehumanizing who I am just as a person with the right to come into the store and do whatever. And so when people of communities, of oppressed communities and communities that are often discriminated against are targeted or treated some type of way, it produces a huge, like you said, fear for us and a sense of trauma and a sense of feeling unsafe. So especially when I think that policemen should morally be in their position to serve and protect all of us. And when I don't see that's happening for people that look like me, there's a moral inner injury that happens to me that says, I can no longer trust this group, some of the people in this organization. I can't feel safe with this. And I'm seeing this over and over and over again. So I think for us, a huge part of what we have to do as we are fighting through trying to get social justice change and to get policies changed, we have to figure out what do we do with that emotional, what do we do with these injuries that we have? And I would say that we have to unplug from some of it. And really unplugging it is a luxury because the struggle that we have every day, we just can't hide somewhere in our homes and say, I'm not going to go out into the world. I know when I go out into the world, there's something that's going to come at me that's going to trigger that injury and that safety, unsafe feelings that I might have. But when I get home or when I'm out, it's important for me to be able to let some things in and then be able to cut some things off for a bit. And in that cutting off, I have to make sure that I go and tend to the feelings that I am having. So if I'm feeling really stressed out, I have to do things that help me to cope with my stress. And that might be unplugging from the news for a little bit. That might be going and hanging out with people that I feel safe with. That might be, being at home and praying. That might be working out. That might be taking a trip to the beach or journaling or getting out there and lobbying on behalf of the cause. So we have to then think about how do we channel some of this, energy. And I would say we have to look at also doing things that bring us joy because we see the things that bring our people suffering so much. We also can't forget that there's a part of us that needs joy, that needs to plug into good things, that needs to plug into safety and healing practices. So we have to not only live in the oppression that can attack us and the injuries that can attack us, but we also have to make a conscious effort to live in the joy that can come out of our lives and the things that we can do to connect with other people as well.